What if the role that made you famous became your biggest regret? From breakout stars to TV legends, these actors landed career-defining roles, only to wish they never took them. Behind the fame were pressure, conflict, and moments they couldn't undo. Here are actors who regretted their biggest TV roles. Charlie Sheen may have been the wildest part of 2.5 Men, but he wasn't the only cast member who regretted being there. Sheen's public outbursts and explosive feud with producer Chuck Lorre ended with him getting written off the show in the most brutal way the writers could manage. But Angus T. Jones struggled too. After growing up on the series, he publicly slammed the show while still under contract, calling himself a paid hypocrite and distancing himself from everything the sitcom represented. Both actors made it clear that, despite the show's success, their time on it was something they wished they could undo. Robert Reed was the heart of the Brady Bunch on screen, but behind the scenes, he wanted out long before the show ended. Reed came from a serious Shakespearean background, and the light, goofy tone of the series never matched the kind of work he trained for. He constantly clashed with producer Sherwood Schwartz over scripts he felt were beneath him, and the tension grew so intense that Reed refused to appear in the show's final episode. He later admitted he only took the job for financial stability, but the role became one he wished he'd never accepted. Evangeline Lilly spent 6 seasons as Kate Austen on Lost, but the experience left her with memories she's tried hard to move past. Lilly became increasingly unhappy with Kate's storyline as the show went on, feeling the character shifted into something she didn't recognize. Even worse, she faced moments on set where she was pressured into scenes involving partial nudity. One early incident left her shaken and in tears, but when a similar situation happened again the next season, she refused to continue and set a firm boundary. She stayed on the series, but the behind-the-scenes reality made Lost a role she never looks back on fondly. Mandy Patinkin signed on to Criminal Minds expecting a character-driven drama, but what he walked into became the role he regrets more than anything in his career. Patinkin played Jason Gideon, a profiler haunted by his past, yet the show's relentless focus on graphic crimes pushed him to his limit. He left before season 3 even aired, unable to handle how dark and violent the material had become. Patinkin later described the job as his biggest public mistake, a decision that shook him so deeply he thought it might end his future in television altogether. Mischa Barton stepped into the OC at just 17, and it's the one role she wishes she'd never taken. Her breakout as Marissa Cooper turned into a whirlwind she didn't expect. While the rest of the main cast were already in their 20s, she was still a teenager navigating intense storylines, long work hours, and sudden fame. When her character was killed off in a dramatic car crash, she exited the show early, and later admitted she wouldn't have taken the role if she had the chance to choose again. That early spotlight became a turning point she never saw coming. Chevy Chase joined Community as one of the show's biggest names, but he quickly became its harshest critic. Chase played the eccentric and often unfiltered Pierce Hawthorne for 4 seasons, yet behind the scenes, he repeatedly clashed with creator Dan Harmon and never hid how much he disliked working on the series. He publicly called the show a mistake and dismissed the sitcom format altogether. His frustration eventually boiled over, and he walked off set during season 4, ending his run on the show abruptly. For Chase, Community wasn't a career highlight. It was a job he never really wanted. Stephen Dillane spent 5 seasons in Game of Thrones, and later admitted he wished he'd never taken the role at all. As Stannis Baratheon, he was central to some of the show's darkest turns, including the storyline that pushed his character past the point of redemption. But behind the scenes, Dillane struggled with the complexity of the series and often couldn't follow the narrative, relying on Liam Cunningham to explain key plot points. He felt this confusion hurt his performance, and even after leaving the show, he said he would switch it on only to switch it off again because he couldn't understand it. Isaac Hayes was the iconic voice behind Chef on South Park, but his time on the show ended in a way he never intended. After an episode mocked Scientology, Hayes, a known member of the church, suddenly announced he was leaving, saying the series had crossed a line for him. But years later, his son revealed a very different truth. Hayes had suffered a stroke before that statement was released, and someone within the church ended his South Park role for him. What looked like a public protest was actually a decision he never got the chance to make himself. Billy Ray Cyrus became a familiar face on Hannah Montana as Miley's on-screen dad, but off-screen, the show became something he deeply regretted. While Miley Cyrus has said the role affected her mentally, she doesn't fully regret doing the series. Her father, however, felt the opposite. He later revealed that the massive success of the show tore their family apart, saying he wished he could take the entire experience back. At the time, he was separated from his wife and not speaking to Miley, and he believed the pressures surrounding the series played a major role. What looked like a dream job ended up breaking their family behind the scenes. The Jonas Brothers became global stars on Disney Channel, but their own TV series, Jonas and Jonas LA, is something they wish they'd never agreed to. Kevin, Joe, and Nick played fictionalized versions of themselves, but behind the scenes, all three felt trapped by writing that didn't fit who they were, and humor aimed far younger than their actual audience. When the series ended after 2 seasons, it wasn't a disappointment, it was a relief. Years later, they openly said the show was a bad move and completely off-brand for them. For the brothers, their Disney sitcom became the one project they genuinely regret.